SAS demonstration video using permanent SAS datasets. We are now interested in using the new permanent SAS dataset, SE score, for analysis. So I'm going to start this program with a libname statement because we want to tell SAS where to find the permanent SAS dataset. Notice here that I'm using a different reference name for the flash drive, E, where the dataset is stored. Again, it doesn't matter what the reference name is that you use as long as it's less than 8 characters long. And you use this reference name as the prefix for wherever you want to tell SAS to access that permanent SAS dataset. So we have a libname and we're using the reference name class, and we are then going to do a proc means on this data that's in the dataset SE score. And so we say proc means, and we say data equals class.se score. So again, whenever we're working with a permanent SAS dataset, we need to indicate it with the two-part name. The first part of the name is the reference name that's also shown in the libname statement, and the second part of the name is the actual name of the SAS dataset. So let's go ahead and first of all run proc means on all the numeric variables in this permanent dataset, and then we'll do frequency on the categorical variables in the dataset. So here are the means of all the numeric variables on this permanent SAS dataset that we created in the previous demonstration video. And then if we page down, we see the distribution of the categorical variables: clinical center, treatment group. With this study, participants were randomized to one of 6 treatment groups. 5 of these treatment groups received some kind of drug therapy for mild hypertension. One of the treatment groups did not receive drug therapy. And then we have also education level. Often you will read the permanent SAS dataset in a data step to modify or add variables. Usually these will be put on a new temporary SAS dataset. The set statement reads in the permanent SAS dataset. So here we're interested in creating a new temporary dataset called RX data. And we're creating a new variable called RX where if a participant was in one of the groups that received drug therapy, we're going to say RX equals 1. Otherwise, if you were in group 6, which did not receive drug therapy, then that participant would be classified as RX equals 2. And then we are going to look at the change in systolic blood pressure, weight, and side effect scores by whether or not a participant received drug treatment. So again, I want to point out that this temporary dataset RX data has this new variable RX. However, this new variable that we've created is not on our permanent SAS dataset SE score. Also notice that in our set statement, again, because we're working with a permanent SAS dataset, we have to use the two-part name. The first part being the reference name class, and the second part being the name of the permanent SAS dataset. So let's run this code and take a look at the means by RX. And so here we see our means shown, the change in systolic blood pressure, weight change, and side effect change for subjects who received drug therapy and for subjects who did not receive drug therapy. What I also want to point out that's very important, as I call it, a word of caution. Don't write over a permanent SAS dataset with the same name. A lot of funny things can happen, and you can very often lose valuable information. So here I'm showing you an example of what I do not recommend that you do. This is an example of writing over the permanent SAS dataset SE score. So here what we've done is in our data statement, we have the class.se score, and then we're reading in the permanent SAS dataset SE score. So we're actually writing over that permanent SAS dataset. And that's something I do not recommend that you do. The other thing I wanted to show you is that if we now go to the Explorer window, we can actually find the temporary SAS data set that we created, RX data, and we can take a look at that. So let's click on Explorer in the left panel, and then we're going to click on Libraries. And notice we have this work library, and we have our class library. Again, the libname statement defines a library where we have permanent SAS data sets. So here we have our library called class, which is where SE score is saved. And if we click on work, we see that here is the temporary SAS data set RX data. And if we were to totally exit out of SAS and come back into it and click on this library work, we wouldn't see the data set there. So we can click on our temporary data set RX data and see what's in this temporary data set. And so you see here that we have our new variable RX added in the column. So this temporary data set has all the variables that are in the SE score data set plus the new variable we created, RX. But again, if we exit out of SAS, open up SAS again before we've run any program, if we were to look at the contents of the work library, we wouldn't see any data set in it. This concludes the demonstration video on using permanent SAS datasets.